Hi everyone, my name is Nicolas Simon and I'm here with Emil Ramakers.
Indeed, that is me. Nicola, what are we going to look at in this session?
So the idea today is to explore how to provide external access, internet access, to resources that are part of Oracle Database at Azure.
Okay, so Oracle Database at Azure, that means database services like Exadata, Exascale, BaseDB. I think those normally don't have external access, right?
Exactly. Those services by default are on private subnets. So you would need some NAT gateway or some NAT solution to give access to internet.
Of course, but I believe that the Azure Net Gateway doesn't work for Oracle Database at Azure resources, right?
Exactly, unfortunately. It's not going to work out of the box. So from there, you have two solutions. By the way, it's documented that the fact it's not working, so don't even try it. Uh, if you want to do that, you have two solutions. Either you want to go through OCI using an OCI NAT gateway. That's the easiest way to set up. Or if you want to go through Azure, you can do that, but you would need a bit more routing so that from the database, you can route to something that has access to internet through a NAT gateway also.
Okay, that sounds really good. Shall we go and explore that in our test environment?
Yes, let's do that. So basically, for the test environment, what we have is a VNet split in two subnets. One of the subnets is a traditional Azure VNet, where we have a standard VM on it, where we can try to see if we can reach to internet. And on the other side, there is a delegated subnet to Oracle Database at Azure, where we spin up a base DB. We can also SSH into that and just give it a try. So basically, it should not work, and that's why we're going to show there and show the solution how to do that.
So let's start with looking at these two VMs. So the one on the left is the base DB, the one on the right is the private VM. So let's ping something on both sides. And we see that we do not have external access. Basically, we cannot get to the internet from either of these machines. So the traditional way to fix that, of course, in Azure is to have a NAT gateway. So let's try to set that up. In fact, we have one already. We're just going to associate that now with these subnets that these two machines are in. So let's select the network. There we go. And we select both of the subnets. So SN3 is the one that the private VM is in, and Oracle is the one that the base DB is in. We save that. And let's go and have a look to see what difference that makes. Okay, so we see that for base DB, that makes no difference. But for the private VM, that of course works as you would expect that to work in Azure. But base DB doesn't work. So let's have a look at what the documentation says about this. And the documentation for the network features in Azure, it's on the URL that we've got open here. There's this list of constraints. There's normal network features and advanced network features, but as we see for NAT gateway support, whether it doesn't really matter which features you have, it's just not supported. So actually, that result is correct. So let's disassociate that NAT gateway and let's see if we can find other ways. That's done. So the first alternative is to use a NAT gateway on the OCI side. So let's go to this base DB and let's see that in OCI. And once that is loaded, we then can go to the VCN. And when that is loaded, we can have a look at the gateways. There is always a dynamic routing gateway attachment that is already there. There is a service gateway, but we create a new NAT gateway. We just hit create after giving it a name. That's it. That's really simple. We now still need to do a little bit on the routing, because if we have a look at the default route table that we get with an ODNA environment, we of course see that we send all traffic 000/0 to the dynamic routing gateway, which itself sends traffic over to the Azure network. So what we cannot do is edit this rule. So we're going to have to overrule this for the specific things that we want to go to. So we add a net gateway type, and in this case, we're just going to go for 888/32. The specific route. If you have other things, of course, then you need to add whatever it is that you want to use here. And let's see if that now works. Now, of course, this can only work for BaseDB, because obviously it is only true for the OCI resource. The private VM doesn't work this way. But you could have, therefore, a net gateway here. Let's delete that again. So the net gateway in OCI can work for the BaseDB or for any other resource. In this case, it's a BaseDB. And you could have your net gateway in Azure for your VMs there. But if you want a solution for both, then what we could do is just route traffic through a device that has that has internet access. So in our case, there already is a firewall. There already is a route table associated with these two subnets, and I have a firewall that has internet, that provides internet access. So if I go to this route table, we can go and you see that it's already associated with those two subnets, but we can add a rule, and the rule just let's send all traffic to the firewall. The destination is now quad 0, because we basically just want to send everything there in the same way as if we were to do a hub and spoke type setup. In this case, we are only interested in going to the internet. The next hop address is, of course, that of the firewall. This firewall has been set up to give internet access. You can do this in any way that you want. So you can route it through any device that gives you access to the internet, of course. And now let's see that for the private VM that works, and for the BaseDB it also works, because now it's just literally just routing the traffic through a device that has internet access. And this way we can make this work for both devices with the same rule.
So thanks a lot, Emil, for that. So if we want to summarize, just as expected, the Azure NAT gateway only worked for the Azure VM, but it does not work for OLED A resources. As we've seen, the easier solution is to use the OCI NAT gateway. It's easy to set up, but it means that you have to do precise routing to make sure the correct rules are implemented and not something too wide. The more general solution would be to use the Azure NAT service, but it means that there is some routing to be done through a firewall that hence have access to internet.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a really good summary of what we've seen. So thanks a lot, Nicolas.
You're welcome.
So we hope that this was useful, and goodbye.
Goodbye.